Good afternoon to all of you. I welcome you to this session on RDBMS Lab. In today's session, I'll be discussing with you the constraints that can be put on the columns of a table. And if time permits, we would be working with some DML statements also. All right. So as we discussed in our morning class, constraints would mean that we put some restriction on the value that can be entered in a column of a table, right? So two types of constraints are there, the column constraints and the table constraints, right? So the column constraint would be like any constraint which is put on a single column of a table, right? Any constraint which is put on a single column of a table. And the table constraint would be if a constraint is put on two or more columns simultaneously, then it is termed as a table constraint. Okay, we'll see how these column and table constraints work. So firstly, we'll see that there are 6 types of column constraints that you can put on your columns. The first one is the primary key. By primary key, we would mean that that particular column would not accept null values and it would not accept duplicate values, right? Then is a not null constraint. So not null constraint would mean that the particular column, it would not be accepting null values. You cannot leave it blank while inserting a record. Unique would mean that you cannot enter duplicate values into a column. Okay, if you are inserting rows, then the subsequent rows cannot have similar values. Then check constraint would be when you need to put some condition on your column, on the values that can be entered into the column. When you need to specify it through some condition, that is done with the help of the check constraint. The default constraint would be when you are not entering value for a particular column, then it may pick up some default value as suggested by you. And the last one is the references constraint. That is when you want to link a foreign key with a primary key. Okay, so that would be a special constraint, and this would be good when you are relating tables. So when you are trying to relate two or more tables, then this primary key and the foreign key concept comes into picture, right? So let's work with these constraints one by one, okay, in a detailed way, and then I can come up with some problems from your side and solutions from my side. So let me start a SQL session here. Started a SQL command line session here, and I'll connect as the user Spot and Tiger, right? So connected, right? And then as usual, we can just practice on these tables. Just have a look at these tables, the emp table and the department table, right? So here a not null means that this emp number column is a primary key. That means you cannot enter duplicate values into it, and you cannot leave this column null while inserting a row in the table. Okay, I hope the row and column is clear to you, right? So we can just set this line size here as say 120 and say the page size as 100. So we have got uninterrupted output, clear output. So if I display all the rows from the emp table, so here emp number, ename, job, these are all columns, right? And there are 14 rows. Okay, one row is 7369 Smith clerk, like this. So what I'm suggesting with the emp number being a primary key is that I cannot have another row with employee number as which is already listed here. Okay, even if I try, it will give me some error, right? Okay, so let's understand the column constraints as we are watching here, the primary key, not null, unique, check, default, and references with the help of some examples. Okay, so I'm going to create a table here. Okay, create table, student, right? And so if I need to create a table, right, okay, I can just press enter here and end this command here, and I can open the editor. I discussed this thing with you earlier also. It's easier to work in an editor because you can go, go back and go in the top line and the bottom line. You can edit your things, right? So if you just make it here, edit, right? So you can write here, create table student. I'll take some columns, all the constraints I'll take now. So say role, I'll take it as type number and the constraint as primary key. We don't name the primary key. It is not required because if you want to, work with a primary key, there is only one primary key per table, right? So we can modify it or drop it easily. No concerns with the name, right? Then I can take a name column, okay, and I can put some constraint on it. Say constraint. We can check as say. Now look at this definition very clearly. What I'm trying to do here is, I can just increase its size. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is, I am putting a constraint on my name column. Okay. And the constraint that I'm putting is not null. And I'm giving a name to this constraint. The name is not null underscore name. You can give any name which is meaningful, right? And this keyword constraint will come here. So when you want to name the constraints on your own, then you follow this methodology, the keyword constraint, then the name of the constraint, and then the constraint that needs to be put. Okay, this is one way, right? Then maybe I can come up with a marks column here, and I can give it as number, and then I can put a check constraint. So marks is less than or equal to 100. Okay, we cannot exceed 100 here. Okay. And then maybe I can just put here, say the hobbies. Okay, you can put it as varchar2, say 30. Okay, and I can give the default as say. So that means if I am not giving any hobby, then by default the hobby should be put as painting. Okay, we'll see how we can work with it. See, each column definition is separated by a comma. We don't require a comma after the last column definition, and then we can close this create table. Have a good look at it. We have taken one primary key constraint, right? We have taken a not null constraint and we have given it a name. Okay, and then the check constraint, we have not given any name. Default constraint, we have not given any name, right? So I'll just save this, and then I can put a slash here to execute it. I can see that a table has been created. And then I can describe this. Okay. So since name also you gave not null, so that's why it comes not null here. Primary key also it comes as not null here. Okay. Right. Now the question is, like we discussed in the morning class, if I need to work with this constraint, do some modification or drop it or enable, disable it, then I can use this name to do that. Okay, right? But what if I need to drop this constraint? I have not given any name for it. Then we discussed in one of our earlier sessions today that if I don't give a name to a constraint, a name of the form like this, sys underscore c n, okay, is given, where sys underscore c and n is a 6-digit number, right? So this naming, this nomenclature is done by the Oracle engine automatically. Now, where can we look for this? Suppose I want to search for the name of this constraint, right? So there we have some data dictionaries which help us. So we discussed in the previous session that data dictionaries contain metadata, that is data about data. So let's see a few data dictionaries here. I'm going to describe one such data dictionary here. Okay. So we have the constraint as, say, let's check this data dictionary. Say this is one of the data dictionaries that we have, user underscore constraints. This is one data dictionary with us. I told you we can have information about data, that is data about data or metadata. So this user underscore constraints is a view. Like what our data dictionary contains is views, Okay, so right now we have not understood what views are, but you can just understand that a view is similar to a table. Okay, a view is similar to a table. A view is similar to a table. Okay, so I'm telling you that this data dictionary user underscore constraints is a view. So you see a lot of information is there about all the constraints which you put on all the objects in your account. It is not just for one table. You can have a description of all the constraints which are present in all your tables that you create. Okay, so you can see who the owner is, what is the constraint name, what is the constraint type, what is the table name on which the constraint is put. If there is some condition that you specified, you can see that condition also. Okay, so many information, so much information is there. So remember, this is one of the data dictionaries, user underscore constraints, right? Another dictionary is user underscore cons underscore columns, right? This is another dictionary. Now this contains some other thing. The only thing which is not present here, right? Okay, and is present here is important one is the column name, the column on which the constraint is put. Okay, and here we have the constraint name and the column name and the table name. So let me just do a check for you here. Say I'll just query this view. Okay, for the moment just keep on noting what I'm telling you, right? So let's say I need to query this, select column underscore name, comma, constraint underscore name from user underscore cons underscore columns. Okay, so this way if I just put an enter here, it will give me the list of all the columns and all the constraints which are in my account, but I wanted for the table that I just created. So you must put a which condition here, sorry, a where condition here, where table underscore name is student. I'm writing this query incorrectly first. If I run this query in the current shape, it won't return any rows. It would say no rows returned, and I'll tell you why. Okay. So just to highlight some points, sometimes we just write it in the incorrect way first, so that we understand that it won't work. Okay. So this won't return any rows, right? So remember here, wherever you specifying the table name in data dictionaries, it needs to be done in caps. Kindly note this thing. Okay. Now it will return the rows. Still there are no rows here. Okay. Yeah, we gave that this as incorrect. So now we'll have rows. Okay. So here we have got the rows. You see column underscore name, if you see in the description, is a big text here, 4,000 maximum, right? So I can just see a part of it. Okay. Just see the change I'm going to make here. I'll just use some functions you will understand in a few days time. So I'm using a substring function. Okay. So out of those 4,000 size, I'm just picking 30 columns, right? Now you still there is problem. Okay. Let's just reduce it a bit more. 20. Let's see if it works here. Yeah, now it's okay, right? So you can see that the column name has got the constraint name as not null underscore name, and to two columns to which we did not give any constraint name, the automatically generated constraint name is there. So this way, using the data dictionaries, you can find the information that you require about certain data. Okay, I hope this is clear. So kindly, for the time being, just note these two data dictionaries in your mind, just write them on a piece of paper, and then you can see what all information you can extract from them, right? One thing, right? Then there is certain information which is present here in this dictionary, which is not present here, right? So sometimes to get the entire information, you may take a join of these two data dictionaries. You can join these views, okay? That we would learn obviously maybe in a week's or 2 weeks time how to do the join operation. But right now you've seen two data dictionaries, user underscore constraints and user underscore cons underscore columns, which relates to all the information about anything that you do with your constraints in any of your tables, right? Okay. Okay, so let's now work with the other constraints. Okay, and I can use this table. So I have this table here. Now what I'll do is I'll do some fast track work for you guys. There's a table student. So I can add something more to it. I can drop something from it. I can modify something to it, right? For that, we have this alter table command. Okay, there is an alter table command, right? So just like your create table command, the alter table command is also a DTL command, right? Is also a DTL command, which means that the moment you enter alter table command, whatever changes it does are stored permanently in the database, right? All right. So let me add one column to it. So alter table has got a syntax something like this. Alter table name. Okay. Then we can do three things: add, modify, or drop, and then we have column or constraint. So this is what you can do with alter table. Such a powerful command, right? So all these things can be done with the alter table command. Okay, right? Remember this thing. You can write this down that we can do so much with our alter table command. We can do any changes to our table with the alter table command. Okay, just to keep things simple, I'll go with this create table right now so that there is no confusion. Create table, I'll use some name, say stu1, okay, and then I can start my editor here. Now for the other constraints. All right, we just missed one thing, just a second. When we made this student table, we did see the check constraint here. We saw the names and all, right? What about this default? We put hobbies as the default, right? Now how to take care of this default, right? Let's see if we have added any values to our table. I don't think so. Okay, let's insert some values here. Remember, insert into. So it's insert into table name, then values, and then the four values. Four values, that means the value of roll number, name, marks, and hobbies. Okay. Date and char in single quotes, numeric just like that. So maybe I can add a roll number 201, a name as Amit. Okay. Marks is numeric. So again, something like this. And hobbies as I can enter here cricket, right? So this I have added. So you will ask, okay, what is the meaning of that default value which I entered as painting? Okay. So when I don't specify any value here for hobbies, then automatically it will pick up painting as the default value. Let's check it. So right now we have one row here, right? So let's pick up this row again. So for you to use a default, you must omit the hobbies, right? So I'll omit the hobbies from here. So if I insert a value like this would be rejected. You know why? Because I'm saying that I want values, I want to insert values into the student table. So it would be expecting four values, right? Roll number, name, marks, and hobbies. But I'm giving only three. So I must specify the columns here also for which I am giving the value. So it is roll, then name, comma, marks. So now the syntax is correct, right? Now the syntax is correct that I am inserting values for three columns and I'm giving those values here. What I'm omitting is the hobbies. So here the default will come into picture and the painting value would be automatically added to my table. Okay, if I run it, okay, did we use the same name? Yeah. Okay, the unique constraint is violated, right? So let's just put yeah, Ajay here, and obviously this is also primary, so 202, 67 can be like that. So we can see one row created, and when you list it, you will see that painting has come automatically as the default value. So this way you can check, you can use the default value. For example, this would be used like if we are in our organization where 70% of the people are, say, from Amritsar. So in that case, no need to enter the city again and again. You can give a default value so that if you don't enter the value for the city, it would be picked up as Amritsar, right? So check constraint also we have seen. And let's now see the foreign key constraint. Maybe we can put it to some other class, maybe tomorrow's class. Let's see, because it could be a bit too much in the beginning. Okay, because foreign key constraint would be like we'll be rating two tables, right? A primary key table and a secondary or a foreign key table, right? Okay, so let's leave it there. So let's now create a table student fully, right? How? Let's see it. Let's create a full-fledged table. Create table student. Kindly note these things, please. That's my request to you. Now I'll be doing a lot of things after this, right? So roll number, I'm not giving any constraint. Name, webcat to 20. And then I can put this as char and sex as char, right? Then I can put marks as number with the check constraint. Say check marks less than or equal to 100. I can give it a name also here. So okay, so this is a complete nomenclature from my side. Okay, then maybe we can have a city field here. Okay, and we can have a default of, say, Amritsar. Right. So this is the table which I start with. Okay, remember, I've not given this as a primary key. I've not put any constraint on name. I've not put any constraint on sex. I've not put any constraint. Okay, I put two constraints here that you can see, right? So I'll be doing a lot of things with this now. So let's create this table. Yeah, name is already used. So, okay. What I can do here is, okay, rename would be an easier option. Say, you can use this name. So table is created. So if I describe this table here, you can see all those things. Okay. Now, first thing that I'll do is I want to make this roll number as the primary key. Okay. So how I can do it? Once the table has been created, how to make a primary key out of it, right? So kindly note, use this alter table table name, add, maybe we can use, yeah, this will be a bit tricky. Primary key. Let's see whether it works. Yeah. Okay. So now what I've done is, once a table has been created, maybe I forgot to make it a primary key. I can make it a primary key like this with alter table, table name, add option. So when something is not present in your table, then you add. If something is present and you need to modify, then you use modify. And if something is present and you want to remove it, then you use drop. Okay. So alter table this, add this. So now if you describe your table, you'll see that roll number is a primary key. The meaning of primary key would again be that it cannot have duplicate values and it cannot have null values, right? Okay. Let's now put a constraint on the name column. Okay. Name is not having any constraint, as you can see in the definition on top. Okay. Name is not having any constraint. So let me just put a constraint here. Okay. So I'll add here, or rather I'll modify, because name column is already there, I think. So modify name, and then I can write here, say, unique. Okay. So now I have put the constraint, unique constraint on this. So again, if you describe, you will see a not null. or other, yeah, not null name, it will be a unique name, no duplicate values, right? So this is how you can alter. And then what I can do here is one more column is there. I can make this, I can put a check constraint on sex column. Let's put that. So I can use a alter table student, right? I can use modify sex check. So use the in operator here. Okay. So what I'm suggesting here is that I've modified the sex column by putting a check constraint on it. And I'm saying that the permissible values in the sex column would be either a capital M or a lowercase, a capital F. If I put a lowercase, that would be rejected. So with all these constraints, let me just insert a value into my table. To insert into stored values, the values are roll number, say 101. Then name, I can add the name as Ajay. Okay, then this I can add as M, sex. Marks I can add as 78 and city as say Delhi. So one row is created. Let's create another row with the same roll number so that whether we can see whether it is working properly or not, right? So everything is same, right, Sanjay? So since we have made it a primary key, so this value won't be inserted, it would be rejected, okay, because the constraint has been violated, right? Similar would be the name, because name we have put as a unique constraint. So if I just put the name roll number as 102 and name as Ajay, okay, again this would be rejected because the name is also a unique column, right? Let's try another one here. Say if I put everything okay, if I put this as Ajay and Sanjay and this as a lowercase m, right? Again, this would be rejected because the check condition here would be violated. If you see here, check the sex column can have only the values as capital M and capital M. So if I use this, again, the check constraint is violated. So this is how you can, like, make use of all the constraints, right? And if I need to check the default constraint, okay, I want the default value to come here, then I must write the column names here for which I am providing the data, right? Right. So I'm just providing the data for 4 columns with my insert statement, role, name, sex, and marks, and the values are this, right? So I can make some changes here. 103, say couple, male, and say 56, right? So if I add it like this, okay, what is this check constraint which is violated? Yeah, let's correct it. We need a capital M here. Okay, we have not given the value for the city, remember, right? So if you run it, it's okay. If you just run from here now, you'll see Amritsar as a default value for city for couple, right? So I hope all these constraints which we started in today's session are understood. The references I'm just postponing to my next class so that there is no burden on you. I'll just leave this references constraint here for the time being. So let's now discuss about the references constraint that can be used to relate two tables, right? For that, let me just take up a small example for you. Imagine there is a table, say, I'm taking a table as students, okay? Yeah, let's take a simpler example. Say, let's take a table as employee. And let's take a table as department. Or say department, right? 2 tables are there. In this table, in the employee table, similar to your emp table, right? I'm taking a column as emp number, then e name, and then department number. Small example I'm taking. And in the department table, I have got the description of departments, department number and department name. That's it. Okay. So what I'll do here is that whatever department is present here, like the employee belongs to some department number, the name of that department is here in this table department. Okay. That means that this department number here would be the primary key for this table. Okay. And here it would be the foreign key. Okay. Or the references key, because this department number would always refer to this department number. Okay. So kindly watch on screen how I'll create these two tables. Very interesting. Create table employee. I'll just go with two E's, right? Say emp number, say number, primary key, email, varchar2 20, okay, and department number, okay. Then I can put a number here, okay, and then I can write here references. It will give some error, I suppose, to begin with, because the table is not there. Yeah. Some problem is there. Let's see if we can get it in ed. Some word is wrong here. References, insist, right? This is, but still, I think it will give us trouble. The table is created, right? So now remember one thing, that whatever value comes in this would be dependent upon this column of this table. So let's create that table. Create table department. We have the department number, primary key, and we have got the D name, varchar2, name problems. We can take full name as department. Yeah, that's why the problem here, because department was already there. That why, otherwise this command without this table, the employee table which was referencing, this table needed to exist before it. Okay, so that is why the problem. Okay, no worries. We'll create this table first, then I will drop the table employee, right? Then I'll again recreate the table employee. Right? So now remember what we are doing here. Our table department is already created, in which the department number is a primary key, as you can see here, right? I am saying that in this table employee, this column department number will refer to its values from this column of this table. Okay, right? So let's create it now. This table is created. So if you describe these two tables here, one is employee and one is department, right? So these two tables are linked together with the primary key foreign key connection. Here, this department number here is the primary key, okay, and this department number here is the references or the foreign key, which always refers to its values from this column. Now what it means is that the values in this department number column of this employees table, it should be either similar to this table values, or it can be null also. It cannot have values different from the department table. How? Let's see. Insert into department values 10, say research, one department, right? Then secondly, we can have 20 comma, say, planning department, right? First time around, you will see, feel it a bit confusing, but once you just work with it. So in our department table, two departments information is there, 10 as research and 20 as planning, right? So now let's insert the values into our employee table, right? Into our employee table. So I can enter the values as insert into employee values. Say this is the employee number, this is the employee name, and this is the department number. So what I'm suggesting here, that employee number 101 is Aman and he belongs to department number 10. So whether this information can be added, yes, it can be added. So we can see here, select star from employee, right? What I'm suggesting once again, how I've linked these two tables, that the value here for the department number, like I put a value 10 here, it should match with all the values in this. It cannot have any value. We cannot put any value in the employee table for the department column, which is different from the values which are there in the list. Okay. So let's try it. Let's try whatever I'm saying. Okay, let me try a value as 40. So I'm saying that there is an employee number, say 102, say whose name is Kapil. Okay, and he belongs to department number 40. Let's save it. Now you see there is no department 40 in our main table, in our primary key table. So if you try to run it, okay, so it will say integrity constraint violated, parent key not found. So when you are working with primary and foreign key, then foreign key can have values only which are present in the primary key. And how do we link it? Kindly have a look at it again. First, you create this table, the main table, create table department. This was the correct one. Create table department and mention this department number as the primary key. Okay. And when you create a table employee and you put the same column name here, okay, then here it is referred to as the foreign key. Okay. And we relate it with the keyword references. Okay. Department number. So this means that this column would always refer to this column of this table for its values, right? So this is what the primary key, secondary key constraint means, right? So I hope that this concept is clear to you. I think that's all for today's class. I'm going to close this session here. Would be uploading this video to my channel. You can have a watch for it and you can practice all the commands there. So thank you very much. Keep watching my videos. Thank you.